Yeah, of course what I meant. Hello, welcome to the Security Policies group meeting. We have quite the agenda today. It's very exciting. Let's jump in. Playing breakdown. I feel like we haven't had playing breakdown in a couple of weeks, so that's exciting. Alan wants to talk about cells. They make
Yeah,
up our body,
yeah.
right?
I believe, yeah, partially it's a good analogy. What because cell will be a essential part of GitLab. So yeah, as you know, there is some kind of due date that we need to fill the information about how much effort it's going to be to ensure that our features are cell compatible. So that's the thing that we'll need to work on. So that's why I asked all of you to take a look at the documentation or in video. And yeah, now it's the time to do some work. So I started investigating, and essentially what we need to do, we need to ensure that the data we have in database, we can easily divide in some, group them in some chunks, and then they can be distributed to different cells. So I found two strange tables. I mean, not usual, let's say it like this. So first of all, software licenses, we've been already discussing it. It's something we inherited from a long time ago when we got the license scanning approval. Although this is quite important because we are sharing the same table for both things that we import from periodically from some kind of database for licenses, and we store also custom licenses that people are using when they're specifying custom names for licenses and policies. So we need to find a way to distribute it because either way it will be it will be like a huge table, and we need to introduce something that's called sharding key, which is great for when you're creating it for a policy, but for things that are important from database, I have no idea how to properly distribute that. So we either need to have a cluster-wide table when we're going to keep those software licenses and sell, and the table is limited to sell when we're going to keep those custom software licenses. So that's one thing. Another thing is we need to introduce in multiple places those sharding keys to tables that are missing that. And because of that, the other problem that we have is that we have essentially three type of IDs that we store for security orchestration policy configurations, which is like a model that uh, is a representation of a link between a namespace or a group or a project with security policy project. And we need to find a way to ensure that all those IDs exist in single cell. So that's why I suggested that we could introduce some kind of validation, that we need to ensure that all those IDs are sharing the same root group, but that will be problematic for many self-managed users. As for them, as Grant mentioned multiple times, they would like to have a separate top-level group where they are keeping their policies, and they would like to link that project from that top-level group to different groups in their organization. So we need to find a good balance for that. And Martin, I believe you answered, and I haven't got a chance to review it earlier.
Yeah, so I had an MR for review maybe 2 weeks ago, where three of our tables were like modified to have this sharding key. But so the auto-generated MR contains the security policy project ID. And I proposed to use project ID plus namespace ID because this was one of the examples where which was in the documentation, and this was accepted like this. But now I'm wondering if we should somehow include also the security policy project ID in there. Maybe it would be possible to have just a third ID as a part of this sharding key, but I'm not really sure how it works. So for us, it's like just a matter of changing one YAML file, but I don't know what it essentially does in the background. So maybe we can ask the maintainer that merged it for his opinion.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that we need to have more time to investigate and ensure. So I'm going to create an issue to capture that for all those tables. And yeah, well, all we need to do till the end of this week is to schedule that work and estimate, rough estimates, t-shirt sizes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask one of you to provide with some small, medium, or large estimation for that. So that's what I'll do. All right.
And one question maybe, so as far as I understand, the cells are a way of scaling GitLab.com. And you mentioned that this could be problematic for self-managed users. Do you know how it is supposed to work for self-managed?
That I was about to ask that same question. I think this would not. I think I'm wondering how much impact we'll have because largely everything should operate within a namespace. Like if we had some kind of features that were working across two GitLab.com top level groups, and they happen to exist on two different cells, then that would be a challenge. From a self-managed perspective, I don't like and maybe there is something related to cells here. I know we plan to have the concept of organizations, but would a self-managed instance be able to create two different cells for themselves to scale?
No,
So
no.
if
So
yeah, so I'm not okay. I'm
what I know
confused as well.
is that cells is meant to be only for .com. And customers that would like to higher level of segregation, they can go either for GitLab dedicated, which is like a solution like GitLab.com, but like customized for a single customer deployed on the cloud, and they can use it, or they can have self-managed as they are already doing. So what we need to do is probably introduce some kind of validations that will work only for .com. That is not uncommon. I mean, I saw that, but that introduces some kind of more scenarios to testing, and that's the most problematic part, is to how to ensure that we have all features working the same way on every single type of instances that we have. So that's why it probably will not be a problem for self-managed, as we will not introduce the same validation back then. Although we need to be able to do properly testing for that. So that's it.
And to be clear from my end, it sounds like the intent is to make sure that we don't have some scenario where there's like two different namespaces trying to reference a security policy project.
So what we need to somehow protect ourselves from is to have like a security policy project, for example, that belongs to different cell than a namespace or project. So this is
I'm understanding. We need to make sure that where we're storing it in the database is in the same cell as
yes.
the namespace. Okay, I'm on the same page. Thanks.
Okay, so that's why we need to find out, as cell is something bigger than the top level groups, as a cell will contain of multiple top level groups. Then if we can introduce some validation that for .com ensure that security policy project and can only be linked within the same top group, then it will probably solve that issue. But that's something that we need to discuss probably further. But that is another issue that I'm going to create: how to properly ensure that that we are within the cell in terms of our models and database. Cool. All right. So yeah, I added tables that are missing those sharding key, and we probably need to
I have a
discuss it.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does this even work with like a unique index?
That's a great question. So the IDs, I mean, IDs are unique across the whole cluster. So you have multiple cells, and all models
Yes.
within that cell, like for example, you have a group. There is a special API that ensures that there are no two groups from in different cells with the same ID. So I cannot tell you how does it work. There is an internal API that does the whole synchronization between those. But yeah, even if it's magic, it's a kind of it's a part of the design, because that simplifies things a lot. Because otherwise, handling all those uniqueness problem will be problematic. And the whole idea is to be able, for example, you have a cell, you have few top level groups, and you would like to move, like do some rebalancing, move one top level group to different cell. It should be transparent for the user; they will not see it. But we are able to, for example, for customers that having like a huge list of projects, we can move them to different cell, and they can be better managed. So yeah, when you go to the documentation for cell 10, you'll find how probably there is a good explanation how does it work. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna create 2 issues now, and I'm gonna try to estimate it with you. I'm gonna ask some of you to estimate it, and we're gonna start working on that in the next milestone. I need to take a look what is the due date for our work to be finished, but yeah, that's the whole goal, to ensure that we are all aware. Additionally, what we need to do is to do testing. There is a cells POC instance where you can go and start testing our features. I haven't been testing it yet. That's still on my list for this week. But yeah, I do not expect having a huge troubles, except for the license policies that I'm unsure how they will work. But yeah, we'll see. All right, that's it. Is there any other question you have for sales project? Cool. Well, I believe we can move on then.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
This sounds like primarily a backend task, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let the
Good
front
luck.
end know if you need anything.
Yeah. Nothing for the front end. I mean, there will be some kind of in the future. You will be able to select the organizations, and you'll be able to go to different cell by choosing different organization. Although in the first version, there's nothing on the front end, and I believe there will be nothing on the front end for our team. Essentially, it will be mostly for tenant scale team.
Cool.
Arthur, I believe you have the next item.
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, actually we discussed it already in our previous call. I just put it also here for transparency. This question was raised in one of the MRs where I tried to use same feature flag that we use on a group level, and now we need to introduce policy scope on project level, so I used the same feature flag. And Sasha and Martin raised the good question that different actors should have different feature flags, but it seems like in our area we always use same feature flag both for group and project. At least all feature flags that we use in front end are both used same for groups and projects. And introducing second feature flag and differentiate how it's handled, this experimental toggle handled in settings. So what we discussed, we agreed that when user, sorry, I have a perfect storm here, doorbell, baby, and I have to discuss the problem. Sorry. Yeah, probably Grant, can you help me? I'll just distract for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, so we were talking about this in the previous call. Essentially, the question is, should we have like a project level, like a feature flag on the project level for policy scoping, like managing policy scopes at the project level? So we have support at the top level group or subgroup level to create a policy scope if you have a security policy project that you're managing at those levels. And what we're working on is, since we have a number of customers that have this pattern where they have a single project where they're managing the policies and they're linking up to them from multiple projects or groups or subgroups, that they've been using this to centrally enforce policies because we haven't had this capability of policy scoping. So we're working on adding support at the project level. And then hopefully over time, customers will move up to the top level and make use of the policy scopes. But this is a way to start using them where they are. And so I think that, where Arturo was starting is to enable this within our existing feature flag, the group level flag. I agree with this approach. Sashi was raising some concern to manage this at the project level as like a project feature flag. But I think that it's going to make sense to just have all of the policy scoping capabilities bundled in the same flag. If you're working on a self-managed instance, for example, you want to test these in your instance and enable the experimental features on that group and do some testing and see how these experimental features work without impacting your current repo. I guess from a SaaS perspective or GitLab.com perspective, you would need to enable it at the group and then enable it in a subgroup. But that way, everything's kind of bundled together. When we go to GA, the flag will be default enabled. We would just remove the need to enable the experimental feature toggle in the front end. So that's what I feel like makes the most sense here is to continue with adding this new feature, this new enhancement that we're adding to the project level policy scoping into that group level feature flag. So yeah, if there are any concerns, I mean, don't hesitate to raise them, but I think that makes sense. Artur, anything else you wanted to add there? Is that clear? If you're
No,
back.
thank you. Thank you. You explained everything very good. That was my main concern. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for raising it.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I agree. The approach.
So if I have questions about the scenario, but I can talk to Grant privately later because we're running out of time.
And you're up again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Other discussions. I have a few things just regarding making it easier for Grant now that he's split between two teams. I thought there's a few process improvements we could have to streamline some of his tasks. One of which was I had a coffee chat with him and he was talking about coming up against small issues that he finds when demoing something or testing things out, sort of minor, that he didn't want to go through the whole rigmarole of creating an issue. So we were talking about the idea of him, instead of creating an issue, being able to just put in the governed security policies channel, Slack channel, hey, I've noticed this thing when I do this. Could somebody verify this or whatever? And then having an engineer pick it up. What do y'all think about that?
I like it.
I think sorry. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And maybe also like I've noticed this and that, and maybe one of us can create an issue for this if it's not easy to resolve right now.
Yeah, and I'll add context. First of all, it was awesome seeing you in person again, Alexander. So we were able to meet up for a live coffee chat since he's in the area. And yeah, we were just, I think it was illuminating maybe for him as well that, when we're together, I'm able to like, oh, there's this issue, there's this issue. I mean, that's all, I see them all the time. And I might have like 5 minutes in between one call and the next call and try to group my thoughts. And then when these issues come up, having time to stop and thoughtfully create a GitLab issue, ping the right people, and then it goes into design, and then 2 milestones later, maybe we fix it. It's like some of these are, yeah, they're just kind of like, yeah, it's like kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating when we come across them. It's like I'm trying to put together a demo for customers, for CSMs. I'm trying to show them the great work that we put in, and then it's just like, oh, there's this little bitty issue that's going to be a complete blocker. So yeah, when I come across those, I need to do a better job of surfacing them, but I might need help, especially right now, split between two teams to help take it further. Like I might not be able to follow it up as judiciously as I would like and as I would be able to if this was the only focus area for me right now. So I will have to lean on the team a bit more, and yeah, whatever works, I can throw things into chat. I think I've been reticent to do that because I don't want to be distracting and annoying, I guess. But yeah, there are things I'm seeing all the time and trying to service those.
Right. Yeah. Thank you both for meeting and you know that you could observe how Grant is reacting to certain things happening in security policies. That would be great if you could just post them on the Slack. From my perspective, as yeah, we will be more transparent about things that are not working, and support engineers will also be able to see if something they experience similar things. So yeah, I believe it will be beneficial for everyone. And yeah, we need to know what kind of issues we have so we can fix them. And I believe with this bigger transparency, because for now you are creating the issue, we were prioritizing it, and we are just adding a milestone to it, and perhaps like only I saw it and team saw it 2 months later when it's assigned to given milestone. And sometimes it's so small that we don't need to wait, or sometimes it's so small that we're all aware that, oh, we know where we are, and whoever is responsible, DRI for the backend or front end, can quickly take a look and react. So yeah, that would be great to see that.
Yeah, and I understand if it's not a 10-minute thing, okay, we might need to scope it, plan
Yeah.
it. That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially since our team is so good at responding to requests in our Slack channel, like I am always impressed by how quickly everyone jumps on a salesperson being like, "Hey, I have a customer doing this and this happens," or like, "Hey, is this expected?" Like all of you respond so quickly. It's amazing to see. And so it would be efficient for us to keep responding in the Slack channel.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, and I'll take the feedback to myself of servicing it there. I think
Cool.
you
And
had,
then
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and then in addition to that, the other process change that I thought would be useful is if normally how we release features is the engineers get done, we start turning on feature flags, and then we ping Grant like, hey, can you take a look at this, give the final sign off? And I thought it'd be useful for the engineers to start preemptively doing a demo for Grant, being like, here's the use cases, a demo video, and posting it, and then also doing the demo in a shared project. I know we all have our personal projects that we are testing features on and iterating with, but it'd be great to have a shared sort of team one to be like, okay, this is where we demo things for features that are about to go out, and then we record the videos there on that project, and then if Grant wants to tweak something that we did or wants to modify, he can quickly go to that project or group. What do you think of that?
I think Alan had the first comment, so.
Yeah, like I can only agree. I like that. That would be great to see more demos, and because these are beneficial not only for us but also for sales, support, CSMs, like customers. So many different groups might be interested in those. So yeah, I like it. So if we can produce more videos, that would be great. And also, that will probably limit the amount of issues that Grant will notice. As when you're recording things, you see, oh, that's unusual. We should fix that before releasing the feature. So it's important to, from time to time, I know we are doing verification, but sometimes some things might be overlooked. And especially when you're recording, and usually, the Murphy's Law is that something will go wrong. So you possibly will encounter some issues that we can quickly fix.
Yeah, that's and 100% what I was going to add. I think B almost is more beneficial than A, in that I think if we're like putting on our customer hat when we do the demo and trying out a live real use case, for example, with pipeline execution action, going in and grabbing some real custom CI jobs that are practical examples, then we can see how it behaves, and I think we'll discover these things more quickly. We can create issues, acknowledge that we've seen an issue, and try to get those things fixed. So yeah, I think that would be hugely helpful. And thanks, Alexander, for raising a few ideas here. Appreciate that. I had one last thing. I know we're at time here, so I'm just going to keep it very, very brief. I just want to let you all know that I am working on a roadmap review for FY25, this year's plan. And it's been taking me a little bit of time getting it polished, but I did want to highlight this concept of an opportunity solution tree, which is and you'll see a lot of other things they're not. This isn't done and polished, so please just ignore. It's a little bit messy, but I think this concept of an opportunity solution tree will give you at least a little bit of an idea of how I'm looking at prioritization in like the work that we're doing. So at the top level, there are various inputs from a business standpoint that we have as far as like what we're focusing on as an organization. What are some of the key drivers from a business standpoint? And then there are of course, like customer needs and problems and demands. But I'm trying to highlight from the top level view here some of the outcomes and objectives that we want to influence. And the way I think about it is, there are multiple ways to solve a problem. So I've tried to drill down from the top level to opportunities. So one of the opportunities that we can pursue as a group is to help improve this area, this concept of top-down security and compliance controls. And that's 100% where we are right now. We're working on enforcing pipeline execution. We're looking at, I'm trying to see if there's anything else really pertinent right now, but I would say definitely like the scan result policies or merge request approval policies and scan pipeline execution. This is a way to achieve that. And there's some other things longer term, like being able to manage policies at the org level once there is a concept of an organization in GitLab. And there's some other ideas here. These are things that we could potentially solve this problem with. And there could be many others that would help us to get there further and faster. So I'm constantly trying to get feedback from the business, from our customers, and identify what are the areas that we can make the most impact to solve these problems. So yeah, you can take a look at this and feel free to weigh in, add your own cards if you would like, or ask questions. My intent is to get this a little bit more polished and then record a walkthrough of everything, so it'll make more sense. So just look at this as a preview or something, an early preview of kind of what I'm thinking, what I'm working on. So yeah, hopefully that's useful. Preview.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Yeah, just a quick thing. We're gonna, I believe, review it async, and as we're on time, I want to mention in engineering FYI channel, there's information about the schedule for the next milestone. There'll be PCL, so production change log, just before the summit, and the last commit that will go into release 16.11 will happen on 8th of March. So yeah, that's FYI. I believe also for me, as I will be doing planning what will definitely go to the next milestone and what will slip because of that change. So that's it.
I'm curious about one thing, Alan, on the feature control lock. I guess that would be literally anything. But if we have these experimental toggles and you have to have an experiment enabled, would that fall under the scope of a feature control lock? I guess so. I guess it's like nothing will be deployed either, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.